Welcome to class 2 of this beginner's belly dancing course with me, Lindsey Marie Silver, here at Sahara.Studio in Scotland. In this session, we're going to progress on what we did in the previous one, looking at your basic stance and that lovely breathing technique that we have, some slides of the hips and the torso, and we're also going to learn a new movement. We're going to have a look at some hip drops. Let's dive in. So you're coming into your basic stance, spread out through your feet, relax through feet, and bend through your knees. Sweep relaxation through the legs into your hips. Tuck the hips under into neutral. And we spoke in a previous session about how to find neutral for your hips today. We're going to utilize that position. With the hips in neutral, sweep relaxation through your back, aligning each vertebrae through the waist and into belly. You can give a gentle, nourishing, relaxing, releasing massage to each of your internal organs there. I'm placing one hand down at Sacred Life Force energy space, just below your belly button, and one hand in at heart space. Let's take a deep breath in. Allow the belly to expand with the breath. Ribcage expands, collarbones rise. And in your own time, just enjoying that sensation of fullness. And in your own time, we can release the collarbones, ribcage returns, and belly returns. And just take a few breaths in that slow, rhythmical motion. As you begin to sink down from busy mind into softened, relaxed body. Again. Breathing in, expanding, and as you breathe out, coming in to fuller alignment within yourself. And with that alignment all the way through, we can come up to shoulders. Bring the shoulders forwards and up. Bring them back and down. The shoulder blades come naturally together. Allow them to slide down your back. And with that, this lengthening through the neck as the shoulders release to the ground. In this stance, you might notice that your hands have gone from rotated around this way to facing forwards. You're open to receive and you're open to give. And it feels very elevational, very uplifting. And with that comes this graceful quality to your movement. The alignment through the spine continues all the way to the crown of the head, and you can allow the tailbone to sink closer to the ground. Enjoy that sensation of your basic stance. And breathing with that beautiful breathing technique. From here, let's just bring our hands out to the side. We're going to just revisit that slide that we did, bringing the hip out to one side, allow the waist to lengthen, the knee to bend, bring it back through center and across to the other side. Good. And just feeling into that stretch aspect of the movement as it comes out to one side. And as your weight comes out over the top of that knee, you're going to extend a bend into that knee, keeping this hip line level. If you want to, you could bring your hands into genie pose. Just place them in front of you, just in at heart space. And you can use that to help you to keep the upper half nice and still, steady and center, using a technique known as anchoring. You can revisit previous lesson. You'll find that in our playlist, if you'd like a little bit more on anchoring. Let's now take the hips into neutral and return into that basic stance as we move that movement of the slide into the rib cage. Now here, your rib cage, the low section of rib cage, is making the biggest movement pattern, and we're sliding the shoulders directly across in a slide, 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 slide. Good. The shoulders stay level. The hips do stay level as well if you can. Shoulders stay nice and level. And that lengthening aspect through the waist comes now all the way upwards to just underneath your arm. Good. And then we can bring perhaps a little bit of fun, play with those movements down in the hips. 4, 3, 2, 1, and into the rib cage. Up in here, just enjoying some movement through there. Nice. And 4, 3, 2, 1, back down. Perhaps we could frame the movement with some hands. We're going to look at hands and arms later on in the course, but for now, just enjoying playing with framing that movement with some elegant hands, just as you feel the flow of movement. As the hip comes out to the side, the hands can come out to the side as well. And you're almost gesturing to any potential audience. You're saying, I want you to look here, in this area here now. And it just feels really amazing. And it really encourages that flow of movement, that flow of energy. And that's what it is that we're working with here. It's energy. It's the flow of energy throughout your whole body. Nice. Let's bring that into center. Anchor through the low half and then into the upper half. Bring that all the way out to one side and then the other. And just gently, perhaps you can encourage the movement of arms. I like to bring in the movement of hands and arms quite near the beginning of our dancing experience, because often what happens, I've heard this a million times, when people learn with another teacher, what tends to happen is they learn all the hip movements, all the chest movements, maybe even the head movements, and the hand and arm movements come years down the line sometimes. And so dancers are kind of like, well, oh, I've got this bit going on, but what do I do with my hands and my arms? And there's almost like this nervousness around it. But let's work from the basis. So you already know these movements. I'm just reminding you. You already know what feels nice. You already know instinctively, intuitively what feels nice, looks nice, what's healthy. And we're just gently guiding you towards that. So you could bring that slide of the rib cage. Or you might want to work with hands here and keep them nice and steady. Good. Well done. Nice deep breath in. So the movement that we're going to move on and learn in this class, and that was really amazing. I like how much focus I could feel you were giving to that there. So in this one, we're going to be utilizing that basic stance technique that we have in alignment. Make sure you're in full alignment there. And then you could maybe frame this movement with an L-shaped arm, this side and this side. Or you can bring your hands directly out to the side here. If you're in this position here, just be careful not to drop the elbows and kind of get this little seagull vibe going on. Seagulls can be beautiful, of course. But let's go for that swan, like that big, full, fluid wing movement. So we're here, or in the L shape that we spoke about. Now, in your basic stance, we are stationary on 2 legs. Your weight is distributed evenly. What I'd like you to do now is to actually bring your weight just through the one leg, and the other side we're going to step this foot forward. So let me just bring this here, just so you can see what we're doing. You're going to step this foot forward. It's literally about 1 inch or 2. From the side, it looks like this. So it's not a huge movement. We're not taking a massive step out here. We're literally just stepping that foot forwards. And you'll notice we've lifted the heel. It's not an extension like this. It's not a hyperextension through the ankle there. It's just a light lift of the heel. There's no weight on this leg. No weight at all on this leg. And we're just literally using that for balance, stability, alongside the arms perhaps. So from here, what we're going to do is sit right down into the movement. What you'll notice is as you produce this movement, you're going to find yourself coming back to standing. Just be aware of that right from the very beginning and just be focused on sitting right down into the movement. And as we sit down into the movement, try and keep your knees behind your toes. That's going to encourage alignment throughout your spine. Whereas if we came forwards like this, tendency is to stick your hip and your butt back like that. So we're going to sit down into the movement over the top of it, keeping this nice straight alignment here through the back. Okay, so now that you have the alignment down, let's move on and look at the actual mechanics of the movement in terms of where we're traveling. So this movement here, you could think about it as traveling up and down, straight up and down. You're going to feel this natural curve, and in certain particular geographic areas that practice belly dance, there is an intentional diagonal that can come in, but I want you just right now to focus on this being an up and down motion. What do I mean by that? So what we're going to be doing is we're here, yeah? What we're going to be doing is a gentle extension some of the way through your knee to raise the hip directly up to the sky. So we're going to come all the way up like this, and as we do that, we're extending some of the way through the knee, and we're shortening this distance in between the waist and underneath your arm. So in here, we're shortening the muscles of external obliques. And then what you're going to do is you're going to utilize gravity, your own body weight. So gravity and your own body weight are going to allow you to release the hip directly down to the floor. So you're going to find that not only does your hip come through neutral, but it might also come beyond neutral. Let's try again. We're going to lift upwards, directly straight up, no diagonal, directly straight up, and then release. You're going to lift and release, lift and release. It's a smooth, controlled contraction to lift, and it's a gentle release of muscles to drop. We can lift, drop, 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 lift, drop. Should we try that on the other side? So the easiest way to take this to the other side is actually to step back, place that foot back in its original position, and then on the other side, we're going to step forwards, just that tiny bit, bend through both knees, the hips are tucked under, the hips are directly over the top of the feet there. So we're here, and then we're going to lift the hip up by extending through the knee, lift up and drop. Lift, drop, 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 drop. Woohoo! Yay! Bring it back into center here. Nice. So as you produced that movement, did you notice that you were able to keep that bent position, that stance where you sat down into the movement? Or did you find that your knees wanted to straighten? Did you feel your thighs? Woohoo! Hello, thighs! This one's very, very good for toning and strengthening all the muscles of the legs. Really good for that, as I'm sure you noticed. So we're here, and we've got that movement going on. Drop, lift, drop, lift, drop, lift, drop. So you want to be aware of sitting down into the movement. The next thing I want you to just be aware of course, is that your hips are still in neutral. So if you've come out like this, Tuck the hips back under. Use your pelvic floor muscles to help you do that. And a little bit of just in it, real low abs. That's going to help keep the hips there in that healthy position. Drop, 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 drop. Nice. Woohoo. Yes, try the other side. Whee. Yes. So we're emphasizing that drop of the hip down towards the ground. It feels really good, doesn't it? It feels quite delicious once you get going. You get into your own body's momentum with that movement. You can also take that movement onto equally one leg and then the other. So it's the same movement dynamics, the same movement pattern, but we're drop through one side and drop through the other. Drop through one side and drop through the other. And as we get into the realms of that, it begins to turn into a basic hip shimmy. So you're getting a little bit of an insight into that movement there as well. Drop, 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 drop. And once you feel that within each of these movements, once you feel that you're kind of quite competent with that, quite confident with that, the next thing to focus in on is to keep your height steady. Wow! Which is not easy. It's not easy. And it depends how you've been using your body previously, if you've got experience with dance or movement like this. It depends if you've got any injuries or illness that you're recovering from. All sorts of factors come into play in the mechanics of each of the movements of belly dance, but also within this particular movement pattern. So if you can and you want to, stay with that bend through the knees. The bigger the bend of the knees, the bigger the movement of the hip can be. The bigger a movement you can produce. So if I don't bend through my knees, only just this one to produce this stance here. This leg is straight right now. If I hold, so I don't recommend doing this. I just want to show you what this looks like. And yeah, you'll see. So we're here. This supporting leg is totally straight right now. Here is the movement that we just did. Okay, that's difficult to produce. I can feel that if I carry on with that, I'm going to hurt my muscles. I'm going to crunch in at my thigh, my glute, inner thigh, in at my groin. My hip here feels uncomfortable. Notice what it's doing to my height. And then notice just the overall image that you have, as opposed to if we did this. Look how different that is. Wow. And I'll tell you, it feels very different as well. So, I mean, your height will move a little bit, but try and keep it as steady and still as you can. And what I find is really great for doing that is if you have like a tiny little beanbag or maybe like one of these lavender-filled eye masks. You can place that, not too big, a little one, place it on your head and literally stand and try. Keep your height still. Sometimes, as is working for me right now, just imagining that you have that balancing there can really help with that technique. You could also imagine that you've got something like your phone bouncing on your head and you really don't want to drop it. Maybe it's your favorite piece of jewelry or whatever it is, but something that really means something to you that you don't want to break, but don't actually do it, but just imagine that you're balancing that on your head. Yes, try to the other side. Here we go. Drop, 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 drop. Woohoo! Well done. Bring it into center. Little bit of an introduction into basic hip shimmy as well. Well done. Thank you so much for joining me in this session. In the next class, let's go even deeper. We're going to look at so much more, and I cannot wait to share that with you. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.